Good afternoon, family. It is so good to be back with you on this fabulous day. It's a beautiful day here in the area where I reside, and I just want to take a moment to let you know that we're going to continue in our financial journey, our financial wealth building for my people, for people who look like me. I remember when I was in the military, and I had a gentleman come talk to me about he was one of the officers there in the Army, and he was talking to me about the IRA, Individual Retirement Arrangement. And at the time, I was taking care of a family of four. I was the only one working in the household, and this gentleman was telling me about mutual funds and investing in the IRA. At the time, it was only traditional that was out at that point. So I was like, and at the time, it was $2,000 a month. And I'm sorry, $2,000 a year was the max that you can contribute from your own money. And that's basically $167 and some odd cent. And I was like, I can't do that. And then I was like, well, what if the market, I was always iffy because I never knew anything about money. Only thing I started out with was U.S. savings bonds when I first joined the military. $25 U.S. savings bonds, they were mature to $50. So it was basically a $50 saving bond, but I was paying $25 for it. And once it reached the full maturity, it would be $50 after like 10 years. So that's all I knew. That's all I knew. And I was doing that and taking care of the family and just, trying to live. I would always live underneath my means as a household of four that once again on one income. And actually did that all the way up until about the time I retired because I wanted her to be home with our boys. We had two young boys at the time, and that we raised them in the same household. But I was off doing the military thing, fighting the wars, whatever it was. And but I always wanted to make sure that they had a stable home, so she stayed home with the boys pretty much. She had at the end of my years in the military, then she started working a little bit. But anyway, going back to the reason why I wanted to start this YouTube. First of all, I told you guys in the last video about the report that's out in 2054 that the black net worth family network would be zero. So I said, you know what? I need to. I've been talking to different people for many years, one-on-one, and I said, man, I need to get on YouTube and add my voice because there are a lot of people out there that don't look like me. I've gotten a lot of information, but our people have been so mistreated that the trust factor in trusting others that don't look like us is a big deal, and that's why a lot of people don't invest. But anyway, so this gentleman, he didn't look like me. He came to talk to me about this information, and he said, hey, go back and research it. And then I had another military officer look like me, and he was talking to me about the same information. And I was like, okay, tell me more. I need to know more about this. And he was talking about, investing in the stock market. And he was talking about how at that time we didn't have the internet. And so he was talking about one time we had gone to the field, and he was telling me when he came back from the field, he wished that he could have come back earlier because he would have been able to make his stock trade and gain money. But instead, it was a loss, if he would have taken the money out. Once he got back, he said, but the market had jumped up, and I was like, what is he talking about? But anyway, I said, tell me more about this IRA. I've heard it before. And I said, now you're saying the same thing. And he said, well, I want you to go and do your research. He said, this is what I have, the fund that I have invested my money into. And he said, but you go back, and he said, there's hundreds of funds. I was like, how do I know what to pick? And he was like, you'll just, pick out one that you think is whatever. And I was like, okay. So I went and did that. Now, the thing that got me involved with investing in myself was I found a black-owned mutual fund company, and they allowed you, initially you're supposed to put down like $1,000, not down, but start the investment with at least I think it was $1,000, and you got to maintain $1,000 in there, or so say, hey, you need to, we're gonna kick you out, basically. That's what it was back then. This is, once again, this is prior to the internet. So I went and researched, and I said, he said, yeah, that's the largest black-owned mutual fund company in the world. And so and they said, you can start with $25 a month. It was called the IEP, Automatic Investment Program. So you didn't have to start off with $1,000 as long as you started with the IEP, Individual Investment Program. And I was like, great. I said, because that's all I can do is $5. At that time, not knowing I probably could have done more, but once again, I want to make sure the family was comfortable and taken care of, and we always live below our means. So that's what I started with. And then I was able to increase over time. This is my financial journey that set me on course to be financially free today. But I didn't start maxing things out. Today, you can max out $7,000 into your IRA, Individual Retirement Arrangement, for the year of 2024. That's basically $583.33. If you just systematically do it that way, you can end up maxing your IRA, Individual Retirement Account, arrangement. I say account, but it's really arrangement in the tax code. So let's say what it is. And you can set yourself on course to be very wealthy. Today's time, you have the Roth IRA, or you have the traditional IRA that you can contribute to. Now, if you contribute to the Roth IRA, between the earned income limit of $146,000 through $160,000, it's a phase-out plan. So you can only contribute a certain amount of money into that Roth 401k plan. Excuse me, IRA plan. I'm jumping ahead because I want to get into the 401k. So we're talking about the Roth IRA or the traditional IRA right now. For the max for the year that you can contribute is $7,000 for the year of 2024. Tremendous tool to use. If you use the Roth portion, contributing to the Roth IRA, once again, your income limit basically needs to be it needs to be below $146,000. Now you can do up to $160,000, but it's a phase out. So instead of contributing the whole $7,000, it'll tell you where you can only contribute maybe $3,000, depending on how much you're in that window. The traditional IRA, you can contribute pretty much as much. Regardless of your income limit, regardless of your income for that year. But since let's talk about this Roth IRA and how powerful and impactful it could be for your generational wealth. So, say you're under the income limit and you're maxing that thing out, $7,000 a year, you never go up because it's indexed for inflation, meaning that the income, the contribution cap will index with inflation every year. We don't want to know what it is until that year when the government says, okay, now you can contribute $7,500. Last year it was $6,500. They just increased it by $500 for the max that you can contribute for the year 2024. Now, if you're 50 and above, it's called a catch-up contribution that you can contribute $1,000 more, and it's supposed to be indexed for inflation, but it didn't go up this year. Okay, just the max went up, so I can contribute $7,000 plus the $1,000 for the catch-up contribution for the Roth IRA for this year. So for me, I can contribute $8,000, and that's basically $666.67, 66 point something, whatever, but I just say 67 cents. But you never want to go over your contribution limit for the year. So this year, do not go over $7,000 or you'll be penalized. And then you gotta take that money out, and then you get penalized because it's like you're taking a withdrawal and you're not 59 and a half yet. Okay, so that's the Roth IRA, and you got your traditional IRA. Once again, both of them, $7,000 is most you can put in for the year of 2024. And the contribution limit for the catch-up contribution limit, 50 and above, another $1,000. So that's $8,000 if you're 50 and above max, or $7,000 if you're below the age of 50. Awesome tool. Awesome tool. The beauty of the Roth is you're doing after-tax contribution. So you get taxed on whatever you make, and you're not getting a tax benefit now, but when that every dollar of that money, the compound growth, the dividends, the compound interest, all of that will never be taxed once you go to pull that money out when you're ready to start withdrawing your money 59 and above, 59 and a half and above. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And I will tell you that once you start your Roth withdrawals, some people say, oh, you're going to get penalized if you're less than 59 and a half. That's not true. The beauty of the Roth is every contribution that you make, you can pull out at any time. I count it as a second emergency fund. And I got the emergency fund set up already, fully funded, but I count this as a second emergency fund because you know why? I've already paid taxes on this, all the contribution dollars that I put in. So when I can go and pull out any of that money right away. Say I already put out $7,000 for the year, it's January, and something happened, I had to use up my emergency fund, and now I need some more money. I don't want to use no credit card. And I make a decision that it's really an emergency, and it's not just I want to take a trip. That's not an emergency. It's really an emergency, and I can go in my Roth IRA, and whatever contributions that I have made, I can withdraw those out. I just can't withdraw out without being penalized and taxed. Will be the contributions, the compound growth on top of my contributions. My contributions I've already paid taxes on, but I haven't paid taxes on the compound growth, and that's the beauty of them letting you draw your money out later with all of it because you waited until you were ready to retire, and you won't be taxed on the contributions as well as the compound growth. Beautiful thing. We got to invest in ourselves because we got to change the game for ourselves once we get to those senior ages of living a lifestyle. We want to retire with dignity and not have to depend on someone else taking care of us. If you got a pension, we'll talk about in the next video. We'll talk about how to draw up a blueprint. And then we'll talk about the 401k once you're on your job as well. I have 45 seconds left, and I promise you guys 15 minutes. So today I just want to talk really about that Roth IRA. Let's look into it. If you can't start out maxing it out, start out doing something. And if you're like 18, 19, 20 years old, just do $100. And I'll talk about some of the ones that you can invest in. Once again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just giving you life experience. So take it for a grain of salt. But I asked you to go back and investigate just like they told me. But if that guy looked like me, that's what got me on course. And that's why I want to talk to you, because you look like me. All right, you guys, walk by faith and not by sight.